I've had this sermon in me for a while, waiting for the right time, and I'm not even sure that the time is right, but here it is. I'm calling it the gift of the coronavirus. But please understand that I am not in any way, shape, or form happy about the coronavirus. I am indeed sad about all the deaths, outraged that there are so many of them, when so many of them could have been avoided. I'm angry about our government, who continues to act as if there are acceptable losses. I read each one of those 1,000 names on the New York Times newspaper, not just the front page, but 5 pages beyond it, when it would have taken 100 of those pages to count the real toll. And I'm angry about the surge of cases in our own city. We know, sort of, how this virus is transmitted. We know, sort of, how to keep it in check. And yet, we're opening businesses, thinking about opening gyms, doing anything but staying home. We long for normalcy, but normality is gone. I'm even angry about my own losses. I hate staying home all the time. I am a get up and go girl. I miss in-person church, hugging you all, and especially hugging my teenage stepdaughter. Like you, like all of you, I've missed opportunities and gifts because of this coronavirus. But I try very hard to practice what I preach. I mean, literally what I preach. And one of my first sermons in the season of the coronavirus asked, if you loved the time of the coronavirus, what would you love about it? So, be strong and courageous, y'all. Do not be afraid, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. In her book, The Artist's Way, Julia Cameron tells the story of her grandmother's long and winding letters. The forsythia is starting, and this morning I saw my first robin. The roses are holding even in this heat. The sumac has turned, and that little maple down by the mailbox. My Christmas cactus is getting ready to bloom. Those letters show Julia how her grandmother coped with poverty, uncertainty, and a difficult marriage. Julia's grandmother paid attention. Julia explains that the lesson of her grandmother's letters were that survival lies in sanity, and sanity lies in paying attention. She writes, my grandmother knew what a painful life had taught her. Success or failure, the truth of a life really has little to do with its quality. The quality of life is in proportion, always, to the capacity for delight. And capacity for delight is the gift of paying attention. Our morning text from the Bible is short. Matthew chapter 10, and Jesus is speaking. Whoever welcomes you welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. Whoever welcomes a prophet in the name of a prophet will receive a prophet's reward, and whoever welcomes a righteous person in the name of a righteous person will receive the reward of the righteous. And whoever gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones in the name of a disciple, truly I tell you, none of these will lose their reward. A simpler way of saying it is, welcome the prophetic voices of today. Welcome those who are doing justice, and give a cold cup of water to the least of these. You see, Julia's grandmother had a way of looking at the world that was a welcoming way. A way of welcoming whatever would come. A way of taking delight in whatever was offered. That's Jesus' way too. It doesn't mean that bad things won't come. Let's be honest here and remember that righteous people and prophets don't always get rewarded very well. But that sense of welcome, delighting in all that comes your way, paying attention to all that comes, that brings its own reward. And it starts with paying attention. Or, as Pema Chodron would say, only notice. That's where the gift of the coronavirus starts. I know that during this time, you have a few extra minutes, a few extra breaths when you can pay attention. So I wonder, what have you noticed? Have you noticed that the bounty of your garden is starting to roll in? You can see little tomatoes on my garden back there. Have you noticed the tension leaving your body? Times of real relaxation and joy? Have you noticed how much it actually takes for you to run your house, to keep it working? How many dishes you actually use in a day? In my house, it's about 1,000. Have you noticed the unnecessary things of our normal life? Like your commute, multiple trips to the grocery store, wearing lipstick, running here and there and everywhere. Have you noticed how there are so many things that you take for granted, that you have taken for granted, that are now considered treats? Eating in a restaurant, sitting with a friend, just a simple hug. Have you noticed how the bustle of life in so-called normal times keeps you from listening to your true self? Have you noticed that your family members, those you live with, don't annoy you nearly as much as you thought they would? The gift of the coronavirus is to pay attention. Y'all, I'd like for you to take a deep breath with me right now. I'm going to say a hard statement from Adrienne Maree Brown. So breathe with me for just a minute to get ready for it. Adrienne Maree Brown says, "We are socialized to see what is wrong, missing, off, to tear down the ideas of others and uplift our own." Can you only notice this right now? Because the universe right now, in the midst of this apocalypse, needs us to call forth something different in ourselves. The world needs us to cultivate a sense of welcome, a sense of wonder, a sense of gratitude, a sense of delight in the world right now. It is, I believe, the path to healing in this moment. So I thought we'd try a little experiment. We're going to try to embody this right now. So wherever you are, I hope that you'll connect with your sit bones. Put your feet on the ground. Take a deep breath. And take another with me. And as you take the next deep breath, I want you to welcome the breath in your body. Welcome, air. Welcome, air. Let's do it again. Welcome, breath. And now on this last breath in, I want you to think and maybe even say out loud, "Thank you, air, for being here." Thank you, air, for being here. Now, wherever you are, open your eyes and see the light. Feel it on your skin. Breathe in and say, welcome, light. Welcome, light. Feel the light touch your face and your arms, and say it again. Welcome, light. And now say, as you breathe in, thank you, light, for being here. And now, let's try opening our ears. Hear the noises around you, whether it's an airplane, or birds, or traffic, or the buzzing of the bees, or the hum of your air conditioner, even the sound of your dishwasher running again. Breathe in and say, welcome, sound. Hear those sounds of life teeming around you, and say it again. Welcome, all that I hear. Thank you, sound and noisemakers, for being here. And now, let's take 2 new breaths, deep as you can, and say out loud as you can, all of this around me is a miracle. All of this around me is a miracle. And pray with me. Help us, O God, to notice all of this, every bit of it, into and through this moment. Help us, O God, to welcome all that is. Amen.